Today I'm going to show you how to stop starting over when it comes to using AI and how to carry over your personal context across different AI tools. We're going to start with these zip files. I created two zip files to kind of create this folder system that will help you get organized. There's two files. One is made for people who are using things like Codex or Claude Code or like the terminal, and this one's for people who just use the regular ChatGPT or Claude in the browser, or maybe Gemini. So I'll start with this one because it's a bit more powerful. We'll open it up. Here we have all these different folders that right now, most of them are pretty empty, but over time, they're going to fill up with your personal context. Real quick, these agents and Claude.md files are instructions for your AI. The archive is just somewhere to store things that are not actively being used. We have outputs. This is where things that the AI generates will live. We have projects. Some people are working on a variety of different projects, and each one will have its own subfolder. And then we have a few prompts here. And then here you can drop off any raw files that you want to share with the AI, and it'll automatically categorize them. And then we have a system folder and a wiki folder. We'll get to those later. So what we're going to do now is, now that we have this folder, I'm going to start a new project, and we're going to call it the knowledge base, and we'll connect it to that folder. So now Codex here will be working within that folder specifically. So now let's give it some context. I'm going to say, let's get started, and you can choose which model you want to use. Soul is top tier, at least for Claude, and then you can choose how much effort. So I'm going to say, let's get started. It's going to work within this folder here and ask me a few questions to start filling out the folder. All right, so it's orienting itself. All right, so it's just giving me some context. At any point, you can stop answering questions and say, show me. That'll show you what you built so far. You can have it build the base or pause for whatever reason. And then it's saying, tell me about yourself and what you want this knowledge base to help you with. And most importantly, what feels most important right now. So it can be anything about your personal life, projects that you have going on, goals you aspire to accomplish. So, all right, it's good to use the microphone here so you don't have to type everything out. Hi, I work in product and growth with clients to help them bring ideas to life. I also help people build out their knowledge bases and second brains. I'm planning a trip to Hong Kong in December, and I'm also interested in learning Cantonese. I aspire to build a venture studio using or leveraging AI to speed up the process from going 0 to 1. All right, let's see what happens. All right, let's give it a moment to load up. All right, so it's kind of regurgitated everything that I gave it, but just to give you context, I created a subfolder in the wiki and it gave it context around my background. And then outline some of the client work that I'm doing, things that I want to learn, my expertise. Created two new projects. One is the Hong Kong trip, and then one is the venture studio. So let's see, determines whether first use of outfit should be a Hong Kong plan, a Cantonese learning system, a client work operating system, or a concrete venture studio. Which one matters the most right now, and what useful result would you like this knowledge base to produce for it? Let's say I really want to plan my trip to Hong Kong and also find a list of potential business partners on the venture studio side, people that I should meet while I'm there, not just people in venture capital space, but anyone who might be a good fit to meet. All right. So the first mission is to plan the Hong Kong trip and build a few relationships. Let's link these two projects together. So it's just asking another question for the ideal meeting in Hong Kong. What could the other person help you achieve, and what could you genuinely offer them in return? So, to be honest, this is just an example. So I don't want to spend too much time diving too deep into this, but let's say I want to learn about the ecosystem, what's happening in that space, and meet people who have been working in that space for a while that I can learn from and potentially create partnerships. All right, let's send that out. So that's the first three questions. So it's confirming the outline, and next would be to build out the base. All right, so it's starting to detail the how much depth there is in these different areas. Some of them doesn't have enough context yet. The biggest gap is what dates I want to go to Hong Kong, what my venture studio thesis is, um, and that'll help it research the right people. And eventually, I can just send it off and it can use my computer to essentially go out and find those people and maybe make a list, start drafting emails, maybe sending those emails. It's really up to you how deep you want to go into it. So now let's choose what's next. I'm going to say we can either go deeper and give more context around the gaps, or we can just say build the base. So we'll say build base. All right, so we'll give it a moment to build out the base. It's reading through all the different files, and then it just broke down the 4 steps that it plans to take. So it's inspecting the information that we gave it. It's building out the identity areas, projects, and then it's going to create a really good visual output and then do some final verification. So we'll pause there and we'll come back when it's done. All right, looks like it's all done. So here are some of the key outputs from building out the base. First critical thing is this visual knowledge map that the system already automatically creates, right? So here you can kind of just get a rough idea of where things stand, what's at the center, ongoing areas, active projects. We have the Hong Kong ecosystem trip, AI-enabled venture studio. Here's some information about my knowledge and expertise, and then some trusted resources. There's not a lot for it to work with. As you can tell, the more information you give it, the more broadly it builds this out. Wasn't really planning a trip to Hong Kong, but maybe now I should. And then, yeah, it's just asking for the specific dates and the thesis on the venture studio model. So here's how things stand with the folder structure. We have the knowledge base, that's this, and the folders have been updated, right? So we have the system files that we have the now, the context map, all the information is updated automatically. We have the wiki with the new information around my identity. And these are all files you can open up and see what it drafted. And then we have the different projects. Yeah. So here's all the things that it confirmed. And then, so yeah, that's kind of like the first jab at building out the knowledge base. And then now with the context that it has, it doesn't have a lot of context, but this is an example of like a quick output that can be created. So now if you want to open up a new session, we can have it read these files, and then we have it before beginning, tell me what you understand about the relevant. So it also creates this beginning a session prompt that can be used anytime you want to start a new chat, right? So right now we're working within the knowledge base. This is my actual one. I call it the second brain. But now if we open up a new chat and say, help me choose the best dates to go to Hong Kong, line it up with events relevant to my background. So now it should know who I am, what I aspire to do. It knows that I want to go ideally in December. So we'll send on that, and should retain that context and give me relevant answers. I'll pause there. Let's see what comes up. Yeah, so it's doing some work in the background. We'll pause and see what it comes up with. All right, so here's what it came up with. It actually advised me to go on the 14th to the 22nd of November instead of inside the month of December because looks like there's more events happening, and gave me a rough outline of things to do on each day, different events to go to. And if I really wanted to go in December, it gave me a plan for that. So, yeah, this was a new chat. And if I were to move over to Claude right now, it would retain all that context and make it possible to continue working and getting more output. So, one last thing I'll do is just show you what's possible in terms of outputs. I feel like I'm rinsing this Hong Kong thing, but let's see. All right, uh, I will be going on the 14th of November until the 22nd. I prefer those dates, especially because I'll be able to go to those events. What I need you to do is take a look at all the different venture studios in Hong Kong and create an HTML output that lists all of the big players, what their thesis is, some of the key players who work there, and also create within that a guide on where I can stay based on the locations of the events and where I can eat halal food. So let's send that and let's see what it comes up with. All right, looks like it's all done. Took about 18 minutes, but we have this field guide that I can use to plan out this trip. Let's see. It's telling me where to stay, who to prioritize, it's telling me to cluster my meetings, and then all the things I need to verify before I travel. Here's the different clusters. I guess these are areas in the city. And then it's telling me to protect my trip from conference overload and how to do that. We have the links to all of these events. And then we have all these different players in the space. Vector Ventures, 5 out of 5 fit. Here's the key players, what they do, things to ask, and links to their website and where they're located. We have Everest Global, all these different players. And looks like it's also filtered, or we can sort by core studios, corporate builders, AI relevant. It's pretty cool. And then where to stay. It's telling me which hotels to look into. And then when it comes to food, here's some halal food options that I can check out that I'm assuming would be near the accommodation locations that it suggested. Oh, this one's near this event. Oh, it broke it down based on day. That's pretty cool. Turning research into meetings, who to reach out to, what I should potentially say, and then here's all the sources and links. So this was made just for me, based on the context that it has. And yeah, I think that was pretty helpful. Now we have this knowledge base that I can pull from and use really any AI tool, and it's going to constantly update this information in my files over here. I'll pause there. There's a lot more that can be done in terms of outputs. It can, take in your brand guidelines. It can learn about your voice and how you speak. You can give it your websites that you've already built. You can give it any of your past writing, and it'll all learn from you. So the more information that you give it, the better outputs that you get. So I'll pause there and let me know what you guys want to see next.